This podcast is part of the Frederick Podcast Network. Learn more at listenfrederick.com.
That's number one. You kind of reset me.
Painful, tender to the touch. May also
Same shoulder length, and the other.
Well, hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Health Podcast with Brandy and Amir. I am Dr. Amir Rashidian, a chiropractor. Brandy is Mrs. Dr. Amir Rashidian, a non-chiropractor.
I will take that.
Doctor of Business and Socialization, the hostess with the mostess, and the person that arranges all holiday parties, which we're exhausted with by now.
Yeah, well, Happy New Year.
Oh, yeah. Happy New Year. Don't you live in the future? I thought you lived in the future. I'm the one who should be saying Happy New Year. You're already in July. It's Christmas in July.
I've been waiting like 6 months for you to say Happy New Year. So,
oh, well, there you go.
So first podcast of the year. That's really exciting. 2025.
That's right. And what I want to tell you is that the Real Health Podcast is where we take all the latest information about health and wellness, whatever's in mainstream media, whatever is popular, whatever's trending, whatever's being talked about. And we want to summarize that information for you, explain it to you, tell you our wellness perspective to it, our drugless, non-surgical ways that we like people to live. And then our focus, our purpose for doing this is so that we can help you feel better, get stronger, live longer, and feel younger. And the Real Health Podcast is presented by the Frederick Podcast Network, and it is found on listenfrederick.com. So please check us out on listenfrederick.com, along with all the other platforms. Whatever your favorite platform is, hopefully you'll find us there. But the easiest way would be just to go to listenfrederick.com and push play, and definitely check out the other podcasts on that one. But when the New Year starts, people set New Year's resolutions.
It's true.
Do you know there's an actual official national end of the resolution day, which is like a week from now? Apparently there's a national day where I don't know when it is, but people
quit. Like a weekend, people quit 2 weeks in.
Yeah, break their New Year's resolution.
Yeah, that's why all the people going to the gym, everyone dreads January, because they know that the gym is flooded with tons of people. They can't get to the machines.
International Newbie Day in the gym.
And then everybody knows come February, it totally lightens up.
Oh, yeah.
People have fallen off. They've gotten injured.
It picks back up in May.
Oh, well, yeah, probably closer to April, because then people are thinking about their swimsuit body, which would be great if they hadn't lost their mojo in February.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
You still going up and down the stairs?
Yeah.
Good job.
I'm going to do some more today.
Okay. I did my cardio today. My coach increased my cardio to 35 minutes 6 days a week.
Sorry, that's very sad.
Now, you wouldn't think it would be that much to do an extra 5 minutes.
If it really feels like it.
But at the end of 30 minutes, I'm tired.
At the end of 10 minutes, I'm tired.
And then I got to do another 5 minutes. It's a lot. And it's very discouraging because when I hit the 15-minute mark, I used to tell myself, I'm halfway done. Now I'm I'm nowhere close to being halfway done.
Well, you're
2.5
more minutes. Ooh, did you see me do math like that?
That was impressive. You did it fast. No calculator or nothing.
I know. I'm on it.
All right. Well, good. We need you to be on it today because we're going to talk about some fat loss and things like that. But
it's my favorite topic.
The first one I want to talk about is just a fun story about someone who had brain surgery. Title article is, her job was talking on the radio, then suddenly words couldn't come. One day last winter, Allison Stewart, the host of All of It on WNYC, was alarmed to find herself speaking gibberish. Allison Stewart's health crisis began on February 22nd. A day jump-started by 6 a.m. workout with her personal trainer. She was pushing herself to get back in shape after having donated a kidney to her sister 6 months earlier. The workout was routine, though she barely spoke, which was unlike her. As the morning progressed, she began to feel confusion. She couldn't engage in a lucid conversation or write a coherent text message. She headed into Soho to WNYC Studios, where she hosts the daily interview show All of It. That not all of it, but that's the name of the show. And settled into her office to practice reading an introduction to a segment. But her phrasing hit roadblocks instead of flowing smoothly. Baffled, she sought out Kate Hines, the show's director. Miss Hines was taken aback. She looked very upset. Her skin, she's talking about her. She's talking about Stewart. She looked very upset, her skin a little gray, she recalled. The disintegration was so stark and alarming. I was terrified. She urged her to see a doctor. Miss Stewart's doctor listened to her garbled words over the phone and told her to go straight to the emergency room. There, she was able to execute commands like touching her nose and walking backward and forward, signaling that she probably had not suffered a stroke, but a CT scan revealed a mass on her brain. Miss Stewart, 58 years old, was soon talking gibberish, a dreadful and mystifying development for a woman who made her living by talking. Her decline was so rapid that her colleagues wondered whether she would ever be on the radio again. I knew she was trapped in there, said Tracy Christian, one of several friends who had rushed to her bedside.
I mean, that's so scary. Anytime there's anything with the brain, you know what I mean? That is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, now there are types of seizures that can do this, but they pass in 15 minutes. Typically, is that those type of seizures. 15 minutes later, you're exhausted, you're tired, but you're able to do things again. I actually experienced seizures like that.
Yeah.
For a long time. So back when I was in chiropractic school, I was also competing in Taekwondo tournaments, and I was training with a guy named Steve Strong. Don't fight guys whose last name is Strong, because maybe, I don't know. He was tall and he was strong, and he was a 2nd-degree black belt. And I was they called me a red belt, which is like right before your black belt, you get a red belt because they go, you're dangerous, so you got to wear a red belt because you don't have enough control, but you have power or whatever. So anyways, I'm sparring him, and I don't know why I did this, but I got this real nice like outer crescent kick that hit him in the face. And I don't even know how I got my foot that high because he was taller than me, but I did it. And all of a sudden, like Mr. Strong, whose face was usually a friendly face, transformed. And 1 second later, I was on the ground. He got me on the chin with what body part, I don't know. Just it was fast. And next thing you know, my knees went.
Buckled.
Yeah, they were gone. And I was on the ground. Now, I jumped right back up and continued to spar. But the next day, I had a seizure. I was in the student clinic. I had a pad and a pen. The patient was talking. The senior intern was in the room taking a history, and I was supposed to take notes. And I kept dropping the pen. I picked the pen back up, start writing. The pen would fall out of my hand 3 times. And then all of a sudden, I started saying things that didn't make any sense. And so I just walked out of the room, went to the head clinician, and tried to say, my hand's not working, and my words don't make any sense. So they put me in a dark room. The neurologist came and did an assessment, and he said, just wait here 15 minutes. It got better. And I was exhausted.
It's scary, though.
Turns out I'd had a seizure. Yeah. And then I went through some rehab and so on. But it was because of getting hit. You know, sometimes when you have concussions, and I assumed that was a concussion, you have concussions, you're susceptible to seizures for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
And this lasted longer because even like until a few years ago, every once in a while
you were still
I'd have
having
seizures
them.
where I'd forget my kid's name. I have 3 sons. I'd be like, what's his name? I know him, but I couldn't
you would
say
get a far off look in your eye,
Yeah.
and then you would definitely have trouble focusing. You couldn't speak.
They got milder and milder. I'd
intelligibly.
get flashes of light, blind spots. I'd have to not drive
Yeah.
for like 15 minutes till
Or
it passed.
just.
And then I'd get a headache. But anyways, thankfully, the body heals.
Yeah.
And chiropractic's amazing, right? Because this
Yeah.
was a chiropractic neurologist.
Yeah.
And he gave me some kinds of like weird exercises to do. He gave me a weird breathing exercise to do. He had me put a candle on the bottom right hand side of my computer monitor because the flickering flame would stimulate the upper left cortex of my brain, constantly, and visual cortex, and that helped balance my brain. He did a bunch of other. He would adjust my toes just on one foot, just on the right foot. So, anyways, and
It's really neat.
A lot of good things happened after that. It was actually a blessing because I learned a lot about functional neurology because of my seizures.
Which has been very helpful seeing, all the athletes. I mean, we were at the Flying Cows High School Invitational. They hosted all of these high school varsity basketball teams from all over Maryland. And
our son played in that.
Yeah, it was so amazing. But one of his, his buddies, got hurt and hit his head pretty hard. And
he hit his head on the bleachers. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think all athletes you guys need to be checked. You need to have a chiropractor in your corner. That's why most professional teams have a team chiropractor, because
all professional teams.
Yeah, it's just so vital. The quicker a chiropractor can get their hands on you before an injury and after an injury, the easier your body is going to heal and respond. So that's so important.
100%. So in this article, it says the next day, Dr. Randy D'Amico,
Sounds good.
a brain tumor specialist at North Wells Lenox Hill Hospital, came in to discuss the findings of an MRI. The shape of the mass looked funny, he recalled. We weren't sure if it was a brain tumor or not. He did not know that it was a dangerous, but he did know that it was in a dangerous place, Broca's area in the left hemisphere, her speech center. I always think of Tom Brokaw when I hear that, because he reminds me of the speech center.
Yeah.
Anyways, since 2022, D'Amico, 43, had been at the forefront of introducing to New York City a novel software program called QuickTome, which precisely maps a patient's brain network before surgery. He cuts an unusual figure with tattoos snaking out from his scrubs, but he was also a calming and commanding presence. Apparently he was in a band before he went to medical school.
Oh, that's funny.
He explained to Ms. Stewart what was at risk and why he wanted her to be awake during surgery. It was important that he be able to test her speech in real time, he said. He didn't want to probe too deeply and disconnect a vital region that controlled verbal or motor function. This blows me away. So this woman's going to be awake with the top of her skull removed,
exposed.
And this guy's doing things in the brain. So now all of that makes sense to me. The part where he goes, he didn't want to accidentally disconnect a vital part. I go, you only know you disconnected it after you disconnected by accident.
But I think they can reconnect. Like, they have ways of testing it, so they can.
Oh, like this disable it.
Yeah, they have a way to test. I don't know what they're using, but they have something where they can test, and then if they're getting a negative or a positive response, then they can back out of that. So there's something I think that they use to test that before they do a full disconnect.
That's very cool.
I heard something. So if you're an anesthesiologist, tell me if this is true, but I understood that the anesthesia, most anesthesias that are used to put people under, they're actually, those anesthesias do not put people to sleep.
They're amnesia drugs.
Yeah, they actually create white noise in the brain, so the brain can't understand and experience everything that's going on.
Wow.
But you're not actually asleep in most cases. It's that there's been this this noise, this white noise that's been that's affecting your brain so that you can't experience. That's wild to me.
Yeah.
So just a little food for thought.
Yeah, I know there's an amnesia component to it, because a lot of them do feel some pain during surgery, but they don't remember it afterwards.
Right. Ugh. I would not. Well, it's a double-edged, a double side of the coin, right? I would not want to be awake for a brain surgery, but I also would want you to know before you do anything that it's not going to affect certain things.
It says Ms. Stewart agreed without hesitation. She had kept up a stoic clinical front since her symptoms emerged, Each consultation was another problem to be solved. But when she saw her teenage son, Isaac, just before the operation, she nearly fell apart. She managed to say, "Goodbye, I'll see you on the other side." What that meant, no one knew.
Yeah.
See you on the other side.
Hopefully she meant the other side of the surgery.
Right.
We'll go with that.
She spent decades in the news business with on-air positions at CBS, ABC, MSNBC, PBS, NPR. In 2018, she became the host of All of It on WNYC, having conversations each weekday from noon to 2 p.m. with a parade of actors, directors, artists, composers, chefs, writers, curators, musicians, and comedians. In the 1990s, she was a political correspondent for MTV News. Ms. Stewart was given anesthesia for the 30 minutes it took for her skull to be cut and her brain exposed. Upon awakening, all she felt was a coldness. She was the interview subject this time, answering questions while 3.5 centimeters of whitish yellow material was removed from her brain's left hemisphere. Her responses helped guide Dr. D'Amico, who listened keenly for any sign of deterioration. Emerging from the 3-hour surgery, Ms. Stewart could not speak at all. This was expected, and Dr. D'Amico was not concerned. He told her that her brain would need some time to heal. It was a relief to learn that the mass was an abscess caused by actinomycosis bacteria and a staph infection, not cancer. But in the recovery room, Miss Stewart was filled with fury upon finding herself mute. That's a scary thought, to have an infection in your brain. But here's the powerful part of it, is her brain created a cyst around the infection to contain it.
Nobody's talking about that. That's magnificent.
That's innate intelligence. That's
right.
Innate wisdom. Because
right.
you
it
would
gave
think
her a fighting chance.
That infection was spread through the whole brain and the body and everything
right.
else, but it was contained in a cyst.
So then my next question is, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Right?
How does the staph and the
how did that initial bacteria
get into the blood-brain barrier and
right.
past that?
That to me is the question that I fear we won't have answered.
No, at the end of the article it says it remains a mystery.
Yeah.
As Dr. D'Amico predicted, warts began to reappear after a few days. Ms. Stewart could say her name and her speech pathologist's name, but she could not think of a single vegetable. Sentences and paragraphs took a lot longer. I guess she didn't like vegetables, maybe.
That'd be ramen.
Before the issue. You remember there was a movie with Harrison Ford, and he got amnesia. He was shot. He went to the drugs. He was this high level. I think he was an attorney. He made tons of money. He was a mega millionaire. Lived in a penthouse and had all these things. But he had a bad relationship with his wife, and he wasn't a good family person. And so, anyways, there's a robbery. He gets shot. When he comes out of it, he has amnesia. He doesn't remember anything. So he keeps saying the word Ritz. So they thought he likes Ritz-Carlton. I'm sorry, Ritz crackers. Turns out it's the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. But the whole movie, he thinks he likes Ritz crackers. So they keep buying him Ritz crackers. It's actually a good movie. I forget what the name of the movie is.
And it's not the one with Liam Neeson?
No.
Oh, okay.
This is much older.
Because there's another one with Liam Neeson, which has a very similar plot line.
Oh, no, this is Harrison Ford for sure. Yeah, this is Indiana Jones in his older years. But yeah, so turns out he had an affair. And so he would go to Ritz-Carlton for the affair. And that's why after amnesia, all he remembered was the word Ritz. So this woman couldn't remember a single vegetable. In acute rehab, by the way, guys, if you know the name of that movie, put it in the comments. I'd like to remember what that movie was called. Maybe we'll watch it sometime.
Yeah.
In acute rehab, she would be drilled for weeks in speech, occupational and physical therapy. She spent months in her Chelsea apartment, working to overcome weakness in her right side and wondering if she would ever be able to play piano again, a pursuit that gave her joy. She also thought she might have to come up with another career. Over the summer, Miss Stewart began to feel ready to return to all of it on a part-time basis, taping segments beforehand. And he talks about how they started scripting her instead of letting her freelance or free flow with her conversations. It says these days she's back to doing 5 shows a week.
Wow.
All live. Making mistakes used to scare me, and now I know I just have to keep going. None of it came easy. She says she doesn't jaywalk anymore because sometimes she gets halfway across the street and forgets where she is. And she doesn't know which red light and which green light applies to her. So she says she acts like a tourist now in New York. She stands on the side, waits for the light to turn green before she starts crossing.
Wow.
So it's affected her in different ways. As for her prognosis, a recent brain scan showed scar tissue and a tiny hole that Dr. D'Amico said appeared to be closing. No infection is apparent anymore, but she must stay on antibiotics for now. What caused the infection in the first place remains a mystery. And by the way, she's playing piano again too, which is pretty awesome. Cool.
But I would not be okay with that mystery. I would be like, what did I come in contact with? What did I eat? What did I put in my body that had that?
Yeah.
Right? Like that.
You know, right above the nose is an area where things can get into the brain.
Huh.
So a lot of times I think jumping in water that has a lot of bacteria in it, not only can it cause severe sinus infection, that can get into the brain.
Bacteria.
Again, we saw a movie. Remember the movie about the monkey? So that this boy was cliff jumping.
Yep.
And he jumped in the water, and the water rushed up his nose. And like several hours later, he had this intense headache.
Yeah.
Then he was confined to a wheelchair after that. They thought he would die, coma, all that stuff. And so they got him a monkey that would do stuff for him, remember? Yeah. And it's a true story. So, I assume it might be something like that. Maybe she swam somewhere.
Right.
That she shouldn't have. So be careful when you're jumping in waters, especially waters.
See, I'm just the kind of person I need to know. Like, I don't know how she continues without, like, that would be like one of my big things. I would learn to play the piano again. I would go through all that, but I'd be like, I have to know. That's just me.
Yeah.
I would not be okay with not knowing.
So if I draw a circle on this page here that represents everything there is to know in the world, what portion of that do you have? What portion of that knowledge do you have?
Oh, it's so small. All the knowledge in the world?
All the knowledge in the world was this. What part of it would you say is do you own?
Oh,
do you know everything already?
No, I probably have a speck.
A speck. All right. So how are you okay with not knowing all the rest?
That's a great question. Maybe I'm not. Maybe as soon as I
know, I think you need to be at peace with not knowing certain things we don't know.
Yeah, that's not how I'm wired.
Do you know how a microwave works?
I actually was just researching that like a month ago. So I know more than I did a month ago.
There you go. Somebody knows. See, I just want to make sure someone knows. But
well, it doesn't matter sometimes what we know. We don't care.
Right. Well, that's true. Like the seed oils we talked about.
Right.
All right. You want to talk about organic food?
Well, let's do it.
Okay. It says, are organic foods really nutritious? Here's how they stack up against their conventional counterparts. And guess what? Very controversial because they don't like organic food in this article.
Well, we need to know who is on the board of the food companies that like paid for the research or is pushing the reporters and giving them the information. This irks me because it is not rocket science to know if you put chemicals in soil and then grow something
and then spray them with more chemicals.
Like it
and then feed those chemical infested things to animals.
Yeah. So if you are legitimately growing something that does not have chemicals in the soil and has not had chemicals sprayed on it and does not change the genetic makeup of that and put it against something that does, I I don't think it takes somebody who knows everything in the world to know that that would be healthier.
I'm with you. Have we ever disagreed on the show?
Yeah.
Not about this one.
Yes, we have.
If-
No, kidding. I was just trying to create a disagreement.
If buying organic isn't in your budget this fall or winter, it's winter now. Experts say not to worry, as you're likely to get the same nutritional benefit from conventional foods.
You're not.
More important is that you follow a healthful diet with plenty of fruits and vegetables.
Okay. Well, I agree. You
What
do
about
need-
plenty of meat?
what protein? I mean, we're talking about people who still believe the food pyramid is like the healthy way to go. Do you know what I'm saying? So,
Weren't pyramids tombs?
some people think that they were power sources. They were used to make power, not to bury. So, you got to do your research.
Certified organic produce must be grown without the use of most synthetic pesticides and herbicides. And animal products such as meat, poultry, dairy, and eggs must come from animals given year-round access to the outdoors and raised without growth hormones or antibiotics. Producing them without synthetic pesticides and herbicides require more labor. An organic farmer who doesn't use a powerful weed-killing herbicide, for instance, may need to hire more workers
Good.
to remove the weeds. And I go, what's wrong with that?
We're
More,
helping them.
more jobs.
More jobs.
Come on. And more jobs, better economy, less inflation, prices will go down.
It's all connected.
That's called a healthy economy. They could also get robots to go weed. Weeding robots. Call Elon Musk.
I was just going to say that.
He's busy these days. But anyways. With macronutrients like protein, carbohydrates, and fat, there are no differences between organic and non-organic foods.
Lie.
Some
That
studies...
is not truth. That's not truth. Sorry. Lizzie. Go back to the board. Go back to the drawing board, because there's no way.
She's an assistant professor.
Wow.
What does that mean? Why are they interviewing assistant professors?
I don't even know.
Anyways, some studies do suggest small differences between micronutrients like vitamins, minerals, and certain antioxidants. One study found, for instance, that organic marionberries and corn might contain higher antioxidant levels than their non-organic counterparts.
Okay, so what Lizzie was saying is, hey, just because you put pesticides on it, it doesn't change the amount of protein in it. That's what she said.
Yep.
Hey, just because you put a lot of pesticides and dangerous chemicals on this, it doesn't change the carb count. Okay, but just because your protein and your carb doesn't change, it doesn't mean that it's less or more healthy, right? It's not just about that. It's
Right.
about the chemicals and the pesticides.
Well, Lizzie also said researchers haven't proven that these micronutrient differences are big enough to affect health.
It does.
Again, it goes back to what we said. A little bit of poison or a lot of poison. Poison is poison.
Poison's poison.
In a 2018 study of about 70,000 adults in France, researchers found that those who ate organic food most frequently had 25% fewer cancer diagnoses than those who never ate organic food. But several years earlier, a study of about 623,000 middle-aged women in Britain found no difference in cancer rates among organic versus non-organic eaters. So we should go with the older study, not the new one, is what she's saying. You listen to the old one, because the old one said there's no difference. The new one says there's 25% chance less cancer. But let's go with the old one. One explanation for such conflicting findings is that people who consistently eat organic food are more likely to have healthier diets and habits and higher incomes than those who eat conventional.
I saw a video a few weeks ago that and I'll have to go back and see what this guy's title was, but he was sitting. I want to say he was like a politician or something, and he's sitting there going, Roundup is not dangerous. Nobody has ever found any evidence that it's going to kill you. And the journalist goes, or the interviewer goes, okay, so if it's safe, I can pour you a cup. We have some back there that we've been testing. I can pour you a cup and if you want to go ahead and drink it, if it's completely safe. He goes, I totally drink it. And he goes, okay, will you guys go back? And he goes, I'm not stupid. You think I drink that? It's safe, but I'm not stupid. I'm like, okay, well, dude, you look like a complete idiot now. Because you said, I'll do it. It's safe. Bring it out. And then he's like, what? I'm not an idiot. I'm not going to do that. So but that's what we're dealing with all the time. We have people who go, it's fine. It's totally safe. Well, then you consume it, dude. And they're like, oh no, I'm not an idiot. That's contestable.
Well, because if he was stupid, he would have drank it, and then that would have been a whole different thing. In a 2018 study of about 70,000 adults in France, researchers found that those who ate organic... Oh, I said this one already. Sorry. Survey. Where are we? Other studies suggest that eating organic foods could be linked to lower diabetes, obesity, and heart disease risks, but they similarly haven't proven cause and effect. Surveys often cite pesticide exposure as one of the main concerns with conventionally produced food. Organic farmers are still allowed to use those that are not synthetically produced. So they can still use herbicides, pesticides, just not synthetic ones. The experts said that there's currently no solid evidence that the synthetic pesticide levels we're exposed to when eating non-organic foods can harm us. That doesn't mean that these pesticides are not harmful, however. Studies suggest that farm workers who are regularly exposed to high levels of these pesticides may be at higher risk of developing certain conditions like Parkinson's disease and possibly some cancers.
So that probably has nothing. Those chemicals then, if those people are at higher risk and they're dealing with it all the time, probably the increased risk of cancers and brain diseases such as Parkinson's, those have been on the rise over the years. It's not less than what it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. And we're using more and more of these chemicals. I do not know why we are so afraid to go, we were wrong. Like, this is killing people. Maybe we shouldn't do that. So then what it leads our communities to think is that they don't care about us or they're trying to control population. And then people get called conspiracy theorists because they're literally killing us. And when we call them out on it, we're conspiracy theorists. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. These are the things that frustrate me.
That's how you argue with something. You just do name calling. Some people may prefer organic food to avoid genetically modified organisms or GMOs, but there's little evidence that they pose a risk to human health.
Sorry, Sean. I'm going to have to hit the table. GMOs do pose a threat. There's been plenty of studies that show that. Just this author of this article refuses to look at those. Yeah. So frustrating.
And Lizzie too. Washing and scrubbing fresh fruits and vegetables under running water can also help reduce but not completely eliminate trace chemical levels on their surface, according to the Environmental Protection Agency. And discarding outer layers of leafy greens like the outer leaves on a head of lettuce can help too.
Okay, that's not going to help that much. But what is recommended to do is not just wash them with water, but to actually douse them, do a vinegar bath, and white vinegar. You don't want to soak it long enough to where it gets infused into the food and the food takes on the vinegary taste. But you can do a vinegar bath. You can look it up online. There's plenty of people that can show you how to do that. You let it sit for just about a minute or so, and then you can bring it out, rinse it with water, and you get rid of many more chemicals and things that could be on the fresh fruit and vegetables. So
nice. Pesticides sometimes collect in the skin or fat of meat and poultry, so it can't hurt to trim those parts. Ultimately, experts say that the best thing you can do for your health is to prioritize nutritious foods in general, like fruit, vegetables, whole grains, and unprocessed foods, whether they're organic or not. There you have it.
Gosh.
So make up your own mind, decide what you want. As for us, we're going to keep eating organic.
As for me and my house,
we will serve the Lord.
and eat organic.
And they're organic.
That's a great way to start the,
there you go.
Start the year.
I'm quoting the Bible. All right. Awesome. Very nice. I don't know. Do you want to talk about, I think we're kind of out of time.
We are,
today.
We've talked a lot. The last article was just talking about individuals, from the holiday season. We're past that now. But talking about how people on certain weight loss drugs like Wegovy or what's the other one? They're sad because during the holidays, they want to come off their meds because they've lost the lust and love for the holiday food, and they feel sad and depressed that they don't
it's like
get
that
to
article
gorge.
we reported on the 18-year-old that college student who had lost weight, and she was like, but the sad part is I can't drink,
Right.
and so I'm going to stop taking the weight
It wasn't
loss.
even that she couldn't drink. She couldn't get drunk.
She couldn't, yeah, she could have one, she could have two, more than two.
But she
made her
couldn't
sick.
binge.
Yeah.
So, and I just go, somebody said food is comfort, food is pleasure. For so many, it could be a feeling of loss if they can't eat the things they normally would. Well, that's what got us into the situation we're in. So again, if you do not deal with the mental aspect of your relationship to food, and food is becomes like your alcohol, right? It becomes your what you think is your problem, but it's not. It's your solution to all the other things that you're not dealing with. And food is supposed to be fuel, not anything else. So if we just changed our perspective,
You know what makes food better? Being with friends and family.
100%.
And when we eat together, it tastes better.
Right.
It doesn't matter what you're eating.
Right.
You know what? And they're saying, you because these drugs do that. They take away your ability to enjoy the food you're eating. That's one of the ways you lose weight. Mm-hmm. And they want that back. They want to enjoy the food. They want to taste it and enjoy it. I go, what about like hugging your grandchild? Where's the pleasure in that? Or being able to go for walks with your kids and grandkids, and being able to like run around and play sports or push them on a swing that half the people can't do after a certain age.
Decrease the risk of not watching them grow up.
Come on. And what about not being a burden on the people that you love and care about? Just worry about that.
Yeah.
First off, they should stop taking the medication. Secondly, they need to not eat for pleasure. Enjoy food, obviously, on holidays. That's fine. Take care of your bodies.
Yeah, for sure. It's the only one you have.
You're not going to get another one.
Not at all.
Not till the afterlife, maybe.
No.
And so, thanks
so
for
on
everything.
that note, welcome to the new year.
That's right.
2025.
That's right.
So we're excited for the year.
Have a very blessed year.
Yep.
And keep taking care of your bodies. And we'll talk to you soon.
We'll be back next time with some great new content for you guys. Happy New Year.
This podcast is part of the Frederick Podcast Network. Learn more at listenfrederick.com.